On Apple's big announcement, I'm joined by Max Wolff. He is the chief economist for Manhattan Venture Partners. Max, always good to see you. Thanks for joining us again.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So, Max, the Apple Music announcement was the one more thing, and we know that's the catchphrase that Apple uses for its really big thing. Is this going to be a game changer?
It's a little bit early to say. I mean, so it's not really going to really arrive in more than an announcement till the end of this month, and that's just on the Apple devices, iOS. Then most of the world, which has Android devices, is going to wait until some as yet unnamed portion of the fall. It's certainly going to shake up this space, which was already crowded, and it's a space that, if we're honest here, has been the next big thing without ever being the big thing for a long time, because streaming music is a devilishly difficult way to make money, and almost no one has.
So they're going to go for the subscription base, $9.99 a month, let's call it $10, and you get a family plan for about $15. But Apple has been very successful with the iTunes model. Apple does have a track record of products cannibalizing other products. The iPhone cannibalized the iPod, and the bigger iPhone's cannibalizing the iPad, if you will. Is Apple Music going to cannibalize iTunes?
Maybe. The thing is, they waited so long that everything else was already kind of cannibalizing iTunes. So the younger folks have sort of figured out that basically YouTube gives them the same thing for free with a video, which is part of the reason Apple's pushing videos. And we've seen Spotify take huge market share. And so far, Spotify is the sort of pole position leader by far, with over 16 million payers and about 60 million users. And Apple clearly built this to the Beats Apple product to be a better version, or trying to be a better version, of exactly Spotify. It's going to be tough, but they have the heft. They could do it.
Is imitation the sincerest form of flattery here? Is there nothing particularly innovative about this?
I doubt the team at Spotify feels particularly happy and comfortable and flattered tonight, but it is a sincere form, and clearly there was Spotify in mind when a lot of this was decided and be announced.
Is this going to kill Pandora, Rhapsody?
I don't think it'll kill it. So let's remember, too, that no matter what happens here, there's not going to be one provider. And just see already today, first of all, the Apple is not even talking about a date when the vast majority of the world's users will get this, who have Android phones or Windows phones. So it's going to be a while, and I'm not sure. Apple's tried this before without much success, but it's certainly going to be a tougher business, and it was tough before.
Okay, let's talk about things that Apple has had success with, and that is Siri. And Siri has gotten a lot more smarter, according to today's conference. What did we learn?
So I think Proactive, which I think is a slightly unfortunate name, even though they're a great marketing company, because in the United States it's largely associated with a teen acne management product, which is a little bit weird. But that notwithstanding,
acne and Siri, yeah, that's probably not a good association.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a virtual assistant, presumably they have good skin, if they have skin at all. Skin means something else. Usually it's a browser format in this business. But that notwithstanding, I do think that it's an interesting decision. I think Proactive is an attack on Google now. I think it's a smart one. I think what we're seeing Apple do is integrate all the different pieces and apps across their system, across iOS, very smart, and allows them to continue to have and grow their huge 40+% market share here in the US.
Apple Watch, it's been out for about 6 weeks. There's been some issues with getting app development for the Apple Watch, but those issues seem to have been addressed today. Do you think they were addressed successfully?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think we're seeing them open up the SDK, or the software developer packs, really quick, and I think that's going to make this compelling. There's a secret about the iPhone, the iPad, and now the Apple Watch, which is it's really only as good as a third party wrote an app for it. So I think that's both what's exciting for the watch and continues to be exciting for the phones. But I think there's two things we need to remember. One is this is still a phone company that does a few other things, which are glamorous but largely marginally relevant in terms of profits and revenues. And two, part of what Apple announced today is, yet again, they're going to take away the business and compete with folks who've developed apps for them. So whether that's Spotify or Pandora. And at some point, this can hurt you a little bit, too, because it means you're competing with the folks whose apps give people a reason to buy your products.
Well, one thing that Apple is trying to compete with is the old-fashioned wallet and the credit card. And Jennifer Bailey saying that the end of the wallet is here. And they mentioned that Apple Pay will surpass 1 million supporting locations by the end of this month. Passbook is going to be renamed Wallet. How is Apple taking on the iPayment situation?
So this is one where they got out in front, a little bit different than streaming music. So I think that we saw Google Wallet for a long time, but we see Apple really exploding into the space. Partly it's perfect timing for them. There's software upgrades happening in all these terminals anyway right now, and we're also seeing a lot of people worried about identity fraud and online hacking. And there's generally been a sense from the banks that the merchant is the point of weakness. So they love Apple because the Apple Pay system routes around the merchants. This is getting very quick uptake. It's still a very, very small piece of the market, tons and tons of room for growth.
But this is the exciting space, you think?
It's very exciting, and they're doing very, very well.
Max, very quickly, the stock is up 15% year to date. Is there room for growth? How much more room?
There's probably a bit more room, but not a lot, and I think it's sort of tip weighted here, so I don't think you'd lose money on this. There's obviously a nice buyback program, there's a nice cash dividend. On the other hand, you're not going to make much of any money waiting around in Apple either.
Really? I don't know. 15% if you bought in the beginning of the year looks pretty good to me.
It does, but you need another 15% to feel good if you come in today.
Valid point. Okay, thank you so much, Max Wolff, Chief Economist for Manhattan Venture Partners.